So our first objective was to don't leave any garbage in space, which we achieved. Because our second stage, this first stage is easy. The second stage, depending on what you do, may be tricky. So the second stage is there. The third stage, if push comes to shove, I could crash into the moon. That's not a problem. And now we are in a polar orbit. Now I want to land on the light side. So correct me if I'm wrong. I think the lunar day is basically about a month. So I think if I release the probe here, so if I let the moon go, yeah, maybe if I release the probe here, it should be good, because this is all lit. So that is what I will do, which is going to be the most nerve-wracking part of the experiment. But anyway, here we are in polar orbit with plenty of fuel, or I should say lunar orbit. And our periapsis is 6,000 or 600,000 meters. Our apoapsis is 812,000 meters. And I can shrink this in. And this guy is on a more similar orbit, I guess, maybe a little bit closer. As I said, it doesn't really matter. So what we can do here is turn the lights on because it's dark. And we're still getting good sun. So that's good. That's very good. And we can actually turn the instruments on. So turn this on. There's no pressure because we're in space. Gravity. We're too far from the moon to register gravity. I bet you if I zoomed in a little bit, it would. Temperature, cold. I'm not sure if this is Celsius or what. Because obviously Kelvin doesn't have negatives. Accelerometer, reading nothing. So not that this is, that useful in space. I could maneuver this closer and see if those readings changed. So this is the other probe right here. I'm going to turn these lights off. Although this top whatever should turn these lights off. Turn these lights off. The top solar panel should keep it charged. I thought I moved this thing. I must have moved this when I was on the launch pad and did not save it. So, and then I bet you that these are similarly too high. Are they? Yeah. I moved these down, I think, earlier in the video, and I must have lost those changes when I was going through multiple attempts. So, sucks to me, but that should be okay. So, where do I want to launch you? It'd be nice, if anybody from Squad watches this, it would be nice to have a direction of orbit. I guess down here we have that. So, let's see if I can figure this out. So we're pointed opposite to the way we're going. So we're going backwards like this. So I think that means that we'll need to go around the moon once. And that's fine, because the lunar day is so... So I think we're headed towards the dark side, so to speak. So let's increase time. Yes, we are indeed headed towards the dark side. And then I'm going to release the probe somewhere around here to give me some maneuvering room. Alright, right around here seems good. So let's go here. And let us... Why are you... Oh, am I in accelerated time? Yes. Let's extend that just to make sure we don't run out of power. You can see this is a different configuration. I just put that on there for grins. It would make sense to have this long one back here and the short one up here, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, let us separate. There goes the probe. And now we've switched to the probe. And let us throttle, alright, throttle down, and Throw down over here. Yes. Activate engine. All right, so that engine is now online. All right, so let's see why we want to deorbit this bad boy. So if I go like this. Alright, that should kill most of the orbital velocity. And that's in 3 minutes, and that will take us down squarely on the light side of the planet. So let us turn off. This thing's so small you don't need. It doesn't have a stabilizer, and you can see it's almost exactly here. And it has a relatively powerful engine for its size. There you go. Alright, so let us get a little bit closer. And let's burn. We're basically killing our orbital velocity so that the moon's gravity will drag us down, and then we can go into like a landing configuration. Let's just go back up here, realign. So right now we would hit the moon, but I want to kill all of our lateral momentum. Unlike planets where you can just deploy a chute and have that kind of kill your horizontal velocity, the moon has no atmosphere. Okay. Seems good. Seems good. All right, we are on a landing trajectory. All systems nominal. And we should start falling, basically. So, can I target the moon from this? Are you targeted? No, not focus. I guess it won't let me target it. And you can see my velocity is very low. So the moon's going to start dragging me down. What is this? I would be in docking mode. Alright, so let's just position this. And actually this orients us towards the sun quite nicely. Alright, let's just go out of control. Let's do a spin. Whee! No? Alright, let's cut that out. Stabilize the ship. Alright, there we go. That's kind of where I want to be. Now you see my downward velocity is off a little bit. I think that'll take care of itself. You can see it crawling up to basically below us. See, my speed is increasing as I drop down towards the surface of the moon. And where's the sun? There you are. So we should get really good lighting for this. I got plenty of fuel. And let's turn on our landing lights. As I had said earlier, I cannot turn them on while I'm accelerated. As I had said earlier, that the your altimeter is above an arbitrary sea level indicator. Let's extend the legs. You see, they're just not low enough to be lower than this engine. I had a smaller engine on this before, and it wasn't enough for a moon landing. And one thing you need to do with this is just watch the nav ball. Don't watch your relative position, because it's not going to be oriented the way you expect most of the time. So just watch the nav ball. It'll tell you what to do. And we'll start braking maneuvers shortly. Let's just check. So the landing lights are on. Then it'll give me an indication to my distance to the ground. I also should have a nice shadow from the sun. Alright. Let's start a burn. Yeah, I can't. Let's speed this up. Last thing I want to do is crash into the surface of the moon because I'm trying to cut the corners. Alright, so we're coming down at a pretty fair clip. Surface is nicely illuminated. This may take a while, so if you want, skip ahead. So I got plenty of fuel to work with, and you can see I'm just barely touching the lander engine. So approaching 50,000 meters, and I want to start decelerating. And getting some... Stay with it. Keep this bad boy oriented. As I said, you just look at the nav ball, I think, because trying to look at the ship gets you confused. I'm going to retract this. And let's start to sell it. You'll see the moon's gravity start to influence the ship much more as I get closer to the surface. So I don't want it to throw me off. And you can see I'm doing this all manually. Yeah, let's turn the stabilizer on. That might help a little bit. Alright, my speed is good. Plenty of fuel. And this... started to go back up. I don't want to chase that. Don't want to chase that when I start going back up, otherwise that'll lead to disaster. Alright, just approaching 15,000 meters. Got really good illumination here. Fuel is good. So as we get closer, you'll start to see more detail in the lunar surface. And I apologize if this is boring, but I really don't think you can... going too fast. And I am off course a little bit. This should be almost straight down. You can't really rush it, otherwise you end up with a broken lander. Approaching 10,000 meters. And the ground can be anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 meters, I think, above sea level. Just checking to make sure my lights are on. Good. Power, electrical charge is full. Outstanding. Reorient this up a little bit. Approaching 9,000 meters. And I need to have this velocity like below 5, I think, for a successful landing. Everything is good. I don't see a shadow yet. Off course a little bit. That'll cancel out. No, going too fast. Should help cancel out our lateral momentum. Alright, approaching 5,000 meters. No indications I'm approaching the surface yet. Kind of looking around for a shadow. Don't see any. So the shadow should be somewhere over here, right? Yeah, because this lander leg's in the shadow, so the shadow would approach from this direction. 4,000 meters. 3,000 meters. Don't see any indications yet. You don't see a shadow. This might be lower than the first place I landed. Stable, get back on course. 2,000 meters. I think I was landed by this time. Must be much lower. All right, 1900. Nice and gentle. Nice and gentle. Alright, there. Starting to see some reflection. I think that's my shadow. Yeah, you can see the shadow of the lander and the lander lights. Ah, too much, too much. Alright, let's see if we can reorient this guy. And too much. Nope. Close that. No, so that was a hard landing right there. I think I had too much lateral momentum. So is that broken now? Let's see. Well, it seems to be okay. What? So the engine broke. The engine broke. It's like the land, but other than that, it seems to be okay. I wonder if it's still active. Extend the panel. Yes. Okay. So it's still alive. Still alive. I broke the engine and I think at least one of the lander legs. But any landing that you can walk away from is a good landing. So, okay, so that was a harder landing than the other one. Backing it off and going up and down, I think added too much lateral velocity, and it just got harder and harder. So we can turn our lights on. So as you can see, it's responding. If the probe core was damaged, then I wouldn't be able to control it. So anyway, that's where it ended up, and we can turn our instruments on. So this is the gravity acting on the ship. And the barometer says that the moon has a vacuum. Good to know. And then here's your gravity. And then your temperature. Negative 23. I think it's warm because this area is in sunlight, but you know, who knows. So anyway, that's the second probe, and it didn't fall over. So even though I broke the engines, this probe is never lifting off, unlike the other one, which is relatively intact. But so this probe is now on the moon, and we now have two probes in orbit and two on the surface. One here and one here, which I think is in the dark. Yes? No? Is that one not in the dark? Is this one in the dark? Yes, this one's in the dark. I think... Oh, so this actually has power? Yeah, so this one's the one I landed previously, and you can see that the engine's intact. So I could lift this off and probably achieve orbit with this. So this descent was a little bit better than the one I showed you, but all in all, it's still not bad. So anyway, so that's this. So this will run the batteries down pretty quick. As I said, I think the lunar night is like 12 months. So, or not 12 months, like 30 days. I'm sorry, the lunar night is like 30 days, because I think each day is like a month. So I don't know, maybe that's 15 days. Who knows? You know what I'm saying, right? So anyway, are these all powered down? That's the battery pack. What the heck am I doing? All right, so let's just take one more time. So our goals today were to not leave any space junk behind, and that was successful. To put a probe in orbit around the moon, achieve lunar orbit, and put a probe there, which we did. And to put a lander on the moon, which, despite some damage to the vehicle, was also successful. So anyway, I'm going to call this a success. If you have any comments or would like to see anything, let me know. I have been fooling around with docking, and I'll say it's hellaciously hard. Because you have to be so precise, and as you can see, my landings leave a little bit to be desired. So we could go to Minimus, which is the other Kerbal moon. We could perhaps go to another planet. Dune is like Mars, and Eve is like Venus. And then you have some, excuse me, gas giants with their associated moons. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thank you very much.